Everybody, we're going to show you how to use Tradingview right now and to set up your uh, chart so that you can actually scan, okay? So let's do some basic things first. First things first, you're starting with an empty chart, and we're going to start over. So you have managed chart layouts. Now, you have to have a paid account for this. It's only like $10. There's a referral link somewhere. Maybe I'll drop it here, maybe I won't. But yeah, so I'm going to go to new chart layout. Okie dokie, let's get this loading up. Okay, new chart layout. Hurry up and load. We ain't got all day. Literally, we don't have all day. Okay, so this is the chart layout. It's empty. Nothing's on here. Completely blank, unlike my other one. So what I'm going to do is we're going to rename this. As you can see, it's unnamed. For students. That's what I'm going to call it. Bam. For students. This way, when I start charting here, okay, did it pop up? There you go. When I start charting, it's like brand new stuff and all types of stuff. You see that? Okay. Completely blank, naked, nothing to worry about. We're looking at the daily right now. So also over here, you see this little triple tab there. It's going to have your list. So we're going to create a new list. I named this in. So let me rename this for students. Finance futures. Okay, we're going to set this up to Binance futures because that's what we're going to focus on here. So what we're going to do is, you see it's Bitcoin here. This is Binance. I already got it color coordinated with a paid one. You can select these and change the colors and stuff. Like you can literally select the color. There you go. So what you'd normally do is I would go to Binance.com, but we're going to assume that you went to Binance.com and you went to futures. You selected the futures part there. Let me go to the exchange right now. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here's the exchange. They automatically got this set. I don't know for Tradingview. I don't really like to use indicators, but I'm going to show you some indicators. Like if they work, they work. Okay, that's my thing here. So you would select, where is it at? Derivatives. You would select futures. We're going to assume that you went to futures already, and you would be looking at it because I don't want to bring that up. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type them in. I'm looking at my phone for them right now. So it's BTC USDT because it's tethered. You will select the exchange Binance. Boom, that's the first one. Then I would say BCH USDT. That's Bitcoin Cash Binance. And I'm going in order because they got them set up like this. ETH. So you're going to see me set this up really quick right before your eyes. ETC, that's Ethereum Classic. And it'll show the names. You're looking at the symbols. Litecoin. Now, I think they have them set up in the way that they added them. Or, oh, wait a minute. Nope. That was my favorites list. So, ADA USDT. And this is organized by volume, I guess. So let me organize this by pair. Atom USDT. Oh, Atom USDT. That's Cosmos. Basic attention token. That's BAT. Tether. Once again, is this Binance? Huh, why is this not marked off? Okay. Now that's marked off. Okay, what else are we looking at? BNB. Can't forget Binance token or Binance coin. dash USDT. Remember, it's not USD. It's not BUSD. We're using Tether because that's where futures are traded off of. EOS, USDT. Bam. IOST, USDT. And we're just going to set it up just like this. Now, if you're one of the people that use Scammy Bit 7 and you want to torture yourself with that, then go ahead. I mean, it has its benefits as I've used it, and you may see an older one, but this is how to set this up. So we're just setting this up right now. Boom. We're going to do every single one of them right now, and it's only a few more left. So stick with me here. Ontology, which is kind of like the team from Neo. So it's kind of weird. Just kind of like how Cardano was created by one of the founders of Ethereum. And you'll find out a lot of these projects, they all started working on Bitcoin. And they all worked together, and then they started making new projects. And yeah. Okay, what's the next one? QTUM USDT. And obviously, you can see that this is in real time. You can see this is taking a few minutes. Really not that much. Data was just added yesterday, a matter of fact. And you can see on each one of these that they have something like a perpetual futures, right? So that's what you'd be looking at. Looks like Bitcoin's making a move a little bit, tiny, and not really. Okay. Let's not distract ourselves with that. TRX, Tron. Now, you could select perpetual, you can select the perpetual futures, which will show you the futures on Binance, which is sometimes different, a huge difference in price. And if you're trading on futures, that might be more relevant. I like to look at the actual spot market. It looks like I got to label these. These are recent. Label that in a second. VeChain. That's VET USDT. Binance. XMR USDT. Now, you're looking at Binance because that's the exchange that you would be using here. Let's see. So that's Monero, privacy cryptocurrency. I think for what I can see, it's the only one that actually has real privacy. XRP USDT. And like I said, we're going in alphabetical order at first. XTZ USDT. At first, I guess I was looking at my favorites list. I had some on there. Because I don't trade all of these. The volume is just so low on them until some of these just start pumping. I just don't even deal with it. Like VeChain, it doesn't have enough volume in there on a regular basis for me to even be bothered with it. But that doesn't stop me from the accumulation side, and we're just racking up more and more VeChain type of stuff. So that's that. Zcash, the fake privacy cryptocurrency that they admitted then it had some stuff and had to start from scratch. So now maybe it is privacy. I don't know. We'll see. That one doesn't really have that much volume with it for me to be justified in trading it. It's like watching paint dry to trade something. So let's change the label here. There you go. There you go. Oops. There you go. Why is this label green? Okay. So now they're all labeled this kind of color, orange, because that's the closest to the yellow, orange, burnt yellow, I guess, of Binance. So yeah, that's why I have it. And then of course I track other sites and stuff too. But here's the Binance futures list that you got here. Now you can organize it. You can have it by the symbol. Huh, interesting. Didn't notice that. I didn't know they could put the volume there. Learn something else. To add volume. Interesting. Nope, not necessary. Potentially even change is not necessary to see how many dollars they change. Kind of clutters up the list. I'll leave that on there because that's how I have as default. Now that I noticed that this is here, that's interesting. So you can reorganize them by clicking this and all that good stuff. Or you can do like here, I see that this one, I always have Bitcoin at the top because that's the reference point. Even I've added the S&P 500, which is SPX, just so I can keep track of that. And the reason being is because we typically follow that, but some of the list I don't have that at the top, but let's just leave it there. Bitcoin's always at the top of the crypto list, regardless, because I'm trying to see where Bitcoin is in general. And then, since it's alt season or something, every time I see something that's already gotten up 5% at some point, oh, Theta's looking pretty good. I'll drag it up here. And if it's near that, like XLM, IOTA was a little bit over 5%, so that would have been dragged here. Bitcoin Cash, I kind of sort of leave it near Bitcoin. Some of the time, Ethereum Classics usually looking good. Where's Stellar Lumens? Because that looks good. So what I would do is I would scan this, and sometimes you can catch it early which ones are breaking out a little bit more than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's 0.5% up. Anything over that, then that has a little bit more momentum, and then you can eliminate which ones. But what I have found is that when it's off season, if it's gone up 5%, sometimes that's where you should give your attention to. And if it's up half of that, you should give some of your attention to like Litecoin and whatnot. But yeah, where's XLM? XLM. That one really just dumped. It's probably down here. Huh. I didn't see. I guess I might have skipped that one. Stellar Lumens, USDT. So that's XLM. Very important to put on this list. This was up 5% at one point, so I would put this up here. IOST was too, but okay, you guys get it. Let me put IOTA right here. Or you can just leave the list exactly the same. You just kind of scan up and down here for the price movements. As you're looking through, you would do that. So here's one way to scan. I'm clicking that. Okay. You're looking at this. You can see the daily. You can see what percentage is up. And so this one, actually, this is either going to be what's called a BART pattern, and it kind of BARTs up to about 350, because that looks like that would be where it would go. Or it, I guess, BARTs down, and it will BART down at 129. AKA, this is like a bear flag, and like it's really looking up like it is, but it's consolidating. This is actually pretty good. It's bouncing back up and down there. It actually looks a lot more clear than what Bitcoin would be, because Bitcoin hasn't really had a chance to consolidate. It kind of just went here, and if it just stays in this range, whether it will be a huge range from like 7,700 to about 10,000, whatever, that would be a good range for it to consolidate in. Um, and consolidation is just allowing that asset to rest before it goes up or down again. And that's typically what happens. People accumulate crypto. In this case, we're talking about crypto. They accumulate their asset, the crypto, in order to either buy or sell long or short, or they buy in, they sell out, and some day traders can make some money in those areas. So, yeah, let's look at Theta. So you would be looking back and forth. This really just did that. Now, if this was just the futures market, see, the perpetual futures will only show like in yesterday only. So this is why you would look there. So I'll be looking on the 1 minute chart. I would zoom and drill down to the 1 minute. And sometimes I look at the 1 minute because I'm looking at this. Okay, these things haven't really changed. Which one is like slowly going up? Because sometimes it's easier to find that. Now this looks like a bull flag. If you were to change this on a 5 minute, you see how this went, and then boom, kind of started to go up there, went back and forth, and then broke out. Kind of the same thing. Starting to go down. It may have 1, 2, and then boom. So interesting. This is kind of, if you looked at the daily chart for Bitcoin, this is kind of like what Bitcoin did, and it went kind of up. And that would be very hilarious because these patterns do repeat themselves. You see them on the 1 and the 5 minute. If this was like the $10,000 mark and then it broke up and then it went down here, consolidated, that would be great. That means this will be a couple months, and then boom. And then it breaks up. that would actually be a little bit more healthy, but we'll see. So yeah, you see these repeat themselves. This is likely to break up. Uh, you look on a higher time frame. I could tell you all how to look at these, whether this will break down or break up. That's a little bit later. This is just scanning the chart. So sometimes you would go here. And then you look at the 1 minute chart. What is this asset doing? Okay. That was a lot of action. Then some real humans came in and still a little bot action. What is this looking like here? Look at the 5 minute. Does the 5 minute look good? Okay, now look at this. This is a very dangerous area to get into. But and that will be a little bit more risky for you to actually try to trade that asset than it would be another one. Give me just 1 second. So yeah, you see, this is why we use the actual one, because then now you can see it's kind of reached the top here. This is where they are likely to sell, like you saw this, and sometimes these things form a cup shape and then they blast off. Other times they go up there. It wouldn't be the smartest thing to enter along right here, because of all this action. You always look to the left. Now we go to the 1 hour, and let me reset the chart here. Yeah, this is a lot of action to the left. Once it breaks above that, then you got this overhead right around here, and then the upper limit here, and then really it can fly a little bit right there. So as a 1 minute trader, you want to look at 2 time frames above and below, potentially 3. And since I'm trading on the 1 minute, I don't have anything really. I mean, you can pay for the highest price um, on Tradingview and get the second chart, and you can look at the seconds underneath it or whatnot. But so what I do is sometimes I use the 2 minute, I use the 5 to 15. Then I also use the 1 hour as a reference, and potentially the 4 hour. I still look at the 4 hour anyway because I was so used to trading at higher time frames. And look at this. This looks like this will double you out of this after it had that huge run up of what they had. This actually this is a lower area, so that's actually not the most conducive. You'll wait for it to kind of pull back and then it can take off. But the basic shape of it does kind of lend itself to looking at a W, if you all are following me. And I'm hoping you all are following me. So yeah, that's scanning. Let's go back to scanning. Sometimes I'll look at this and see which asset, just quickly go through which one is kind of looking like it's getting ready to go up, and maybe I'll zoom out a little bit so I can see that. Once I see one of these that are creeping up, see this one looks like this would be called a descending triangle. You can draw a triangle here. Let's just do a very ugly one. Um, this is a very ugly one. That's not what it would be. You don't usually go through the body of the candles. So that's really ugly. But let's just say that this was, and pretend that means it's like a 66% chance. Remember, none of this is financial advice, financial trading, tax advice, or anything like that. But this would be like a 66% down, 33% up if this were a real one, which in this case, this is improperly drawn. But just get in the basic shape. So otherwise, it could just be a bull flag if we look at a higher time frame. So this would have caught my attention. I'm looking at it like, okay, how is this? So this bartered down and then went back up. This is looking like it's a bull flag like that would go that way instead of the one that goes sideways. So some bull flags, they do this and then they take off. Okay. Other ones do that and then they take off. In this case, I'm looking at it from here, from here to here, and at somewhere around this point is really on the edge of being invalidated. There's a point where it comes. So that's how you would scan. I will be looking at this mainly on the 1 minute. Look at Atom. I don't even trade it. I don't touch it. You see how bad this volume is? This is literally bad volume. It has no volume at all. It's gone up 3% today, but even on the 5 minute chart, look, I'm on a 5 minute chart. This should show something more. You see the difference? It's like you're looking at Pong or something like that. That's the game. So like you're looking at Pong. Let's go on to 15 minutes. See how it looks. Still horrible, horrible. Look at all these gaps that are here. It has no volume. Nobody's trading this thing, basically. Oh, this is on Bittrex. How did I get Bittrex on here? Okay, this looks better. I still don't trade. I still don't trade. I don't touch it. I don't like it. Bittrex has a horrible volume. Give me a second. Checking something on my phone for some of these assets here. So yeah, but that's an example of what a bad volume is. And a lot of these, if you look at the 1 minute chart, look at this. Looks like complete shit. Binance, and you kind of go through. You just see, you find ones that are interesting, and then what will happen is you can change the color to what interests you, or just drag it to the top. I like to drag it to the top because I will only myself personally look at about 3 to 5, maybe only 1 and 2, and I try to trade one at a time. I've tried to trade more than that, but you really just got to use small amounts of your capital if you're going to do anything like that. So yeah, next step. Here we go. So we went through setting up that. The next one is we're going to look at the indicators. This is indicators and strategies. This is F with an X. So EMA, moving average exponential. I don't know what double EMA is, but let's look at it. I think I've had that before. Yeah, hell no. EMA. Moving average exponential. Here we go. I'm going to put 2 of them here. Typically, I just say 0 or none. But I found recently, here's one that works. Here's the 5. I'm going to make it, I'm going to leave it this color. I like that color. The line is good. The thickness, there we go. Make it a little bit thicker because that thin line is just stupid, my opinion. Let's change this like white for this one. And this is 21. So the blue one is set to 5. This white one is set to 21. So I've noticed, okay. So I've noticed, let me click this again, that the 21, let's go back to Bitcoin, is really good for catching these really good breakout trends. You see how it went here? Now, this is a lower, this is way lower. Like, when do you get in? Well, I couldn't have got in here. I couldn't have got in there. I just, you could actually, because this now is a higher, this is a higher high right there. Once this stabilized and it started to pump up from there, you could do that and have this last previous candle as your stop loss. That's what you would do. But for those that are having a hard time, this is a handicap. Now, you see how this missed you out on I mean, it missed you out on 14% of a move by using this, but this is, I guess this is more of those exception points. Okay, sorry about that. So, but what I found is this really gravitates toward, it gets near it. It doesn't have to touch. Let's just have one at a time. This gets near this. It doesn't have to touch it. In some rare instances, like this was a huge drop. So this is a little bit different. But typically in the market, these things don't get too far away from their EMA, which is the average of this. So all this is telling you is this 21 means it's taking the last 21 of these candlesticks, averaging them together with the current one, and that's where you get this price range at. This one is 5. And so we're looking at the daily, so it's the last 21 days. If it was the 15-minute, it would be the last 21 15-minute candles. 1 hour, last 21 1 hour candle, so on and so forth. So that's what it's doing. So it touched this. This is actually pretty good. It can tell you whether we're still in an uptrend or a downtrend. A lot of people use the 100 or 200, and you can't set that there because sometimes the people people are trading off of these. I don't typically like to do that because you can still, without an EMA at all, you can still trade this market. You don't need a single indicator, but this is kind of like a handicap, and you can see this help you on the 1 minute as well, except when it does that. This is kind of the sideways action. I typically don't like trading sideways. At this point, you just be doing this. You draw this out to help yourself of where the range is, and then the upper and lower ranges and everything like that of where the price is generally going. Okay, and then you can trade within these ranges and do that. I don't like that complicated mess. I don't like the hot mess. So what I would do is I'm waiting until it breaks above. This was the established area. This is an established area. It's a lot safer to get in once it slightly goes above there. Obviously looking to the left, assuming that we've checked the higher time frames. You always got to check the higher time frame. If that fails, for example, if it shows that it's going to pump on the 1 minute, right, but it fails and it shows a dump setup, a sell setup on the 5 minute, then what are you going to do? Well, you go with the sell setup that it shows on the 5 minute. Like this would be a bear flag. At some point, this would break down. But what winded up happening, this could have been interpreted as a bull flag. Not necessarily. It's more like a BART pattern, because what BARTs usually do is they do this and they have this one side like a sometimes BARTs are a little more erratic like that, and then I guess they do round. A lot of times they do that, but one or the other side, and it's a lot harder to see when it's on the other side. But right here, this would have been a bull flag had it just kind of went down like this, zigzagged, and then went up. But what it winded up doing was it had like a pointy ear. That's what I'd like to interpret it as, and then went sideways. Usually these pointy ears, from what I've seen looking at the 1 minute chart so often, they usually just end up going down. And you have these on the 1 minute. You have, look at this. There's another one. It barred it down. Went up, stabilized, boom. So usually you see these very, very often. And all this is trying to find liquidity. There was no liquidity in this. This was a single 5 minute candle, $600 drop. Wow. It actually dropped a little bit more than $603, but this is just what it's counting as where it opened and closed. That's 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. So if we have a pump here, if this BART's in the opposite direction, which if you think about this, this is also kind of following patterns. Look at this right here. Okay, I'll circle it for you. Look at this and get the heck out of the way. And then look at this. This is actually an upside down version of this. Let's inverse this where you press Alt-1 on Tradingview only, and then you'll see, here it is right here. Doesn't this look, doesn't this look very, very oddly similar to what we just saw? So let's flip this back around. I'm gonna play with your eyes for a second. You see this? Patterns repeat themselves. Sometimes they flip around. Sometimes they mirror each other. So does that mean that this would, quote unquote, dump, which means this is just a pump? Is that what that means? So we'll see what it does. This is actually a little bit more erratic right here. Low volume there. So let's flip this back around where it's supposed to be. I'm going to delete this, clear up the chart. And I'm just showing you guys here how these are working. So usually it bounces. And so let's just say we were in a downtrend, right? Let's go with Cardano. That would be a lot easier to show you because this is where this dump occurred. This is on the 5 minute. So this is slower than the 1 minute. Obviously you have 1 minute versions of this. And that means you have to be careful too, to look at the 5 minute to see where we are. Are we bouncing underneath it? You see how this touches or goes here? It attempted to go over and then it just dumped down. So what you're looking at here is this broke above. You got to wait until this here are multiple times in the moment. So there's one thing that you can see, but in the moment, this is going up and down, up and down. You probably have gone long and maybe it hit you and stopped you out. But if you waited properly, this was the breakover candle right here. Let's go in closer so you can see. This is the breakover candle right here. That's not where you would go long. You'd wait for it to test it. This looks like it's here, but it didn't turn green. This might have gone up. Not sure in the moment. Let's say it went down, then you went long, right? If it then turned green. Well, let's just say it went long because you're thinking, okay, it touched it. Okay. Now, your stop loss would actually be the candle that ignited this whole thing. It would be right here. This is where it will stop you out at, unfortunately, because they're at the same prices. So this would have probably been interpreted on the 1 minute chart as a art down. But that is where your stop loss would be. If you wanted to be a little bit careful, it would be slightly below that area because this is a volatile market. So you have it a little bit below everything and whatnot. So let's get this here. But yeah, let's say that you entered right here. It did not stop you out because you had it slightly below. Oh, actually, when I zoom in, you did not get stopped out. You got very close, even at that level. So it goes up. This is a very, very good indication of where it's going. And then you can see as it gets close and close. And then you will have to determine where you would go out. You use higher time frames to determine also to help you. Is it still underneath this? Okay, if it breaks, if it touches this and it goes down, you can determine where you're getting out. But let's reset this. Why is it so far back? Okay. Once again, night and candle. You didn't do that. It gets close, right? That's where you go long. Your stop loss is right here at the igniting or slightly below. And at this point, you determine where you get out, your risk reward ratio, where it will be 2 to 1 at that point. Wherever your stop loss is, it will be double that on the higher one. Now, some people do 1.5 to 1 and everything like that. So yeah, that's that. Now, let me show you the real thing that I just discovered. Now, it did give me one aspect that threw me off a little bit because I looked at the 30-minute on Cardano, and it did lose me a tiny bit of money compared to the profits I got, but it did lose me some money with that because I missed a trade, not because I actually went and I was looking at it because I'm trying to observe. So this is still experimental because I noticed something. So first, on first hand, do you notice that on every single one of these, virtually every single one, they like touch this. It gets very close to it. Now, where is Cardano going down to? Let's look at this. This is the 4 hour. Now, if you have this open, you can see it's at 8.2 cents, so 0.082. And of course, as the price goes down, this will get adjusted down. So it's either going to touch it or get near it within a reason. So I'm going to always assume that these just will not necessarily touch to be safe. So instead of getting down to 821, it may just get down to 827, 825. And that's where I would, oh, look at this. It's gone down. And you can see this in real time. And now the price has been adjusted to 8176. Oh, look at this. It is killing somebody. And what is Bitcoin doing? Oh, Bitcoin's only really going down, what, a couple dollars? Yeah, it's going down $2. And Cardano's freaking reeling over. It is just dumping. Wow. Let me look at this. And maybe I should have gotten in a trade there. Oh my goodness. I did well, I did miss out on that short, but I can get up and buy me some cheap Cardano. So give me just a second as I can scalp along here. And now, and this time, that means this price would essentially try to go there. But here's the trick here. Is this a bark pattern? Yep. This is exactly what I was looking at over here. I was thinking that if it dumps, it would get down to here for this because this looked like almost a straight up. And so what it's going to do is it's approaching the 5. It's like it's attracted to it. It's like a flies to a flame or moths to a flame or light or something like that. And they get very close to it. Now, sometimes it only gets within like a certain percentage of it. And you can obviously multiply that on a daily. Now, you see how that didn't get that close, but it also was a little bit lower when the price was lower. So now, instead of me just randomly going long, I'll wait until it gets over. Let's look at the 21. I'm glad this is actually a good lesson. So this one was really struggling to stay over. This means this was underneath. It popped over a little bit of times, a few times, but that means we look at the 5-minute, and at some point it broke under. And so, yeah, this was the area that I would have, had I shorted, and I was thinking about shorting, but instead I just recorded this video that I would have gone to. So it's satisfied. It touched it. Now it's satisfied. It's like it's got a hunger. It's like a fly. And so it touched it. This was already near it on the 6 hour, which only has 3 minutes left. By the way, the daily had already touched its lower end. And so this is an excellent, excellent demonstration here. So basically, no matter if it's going, so you can tell the direction. Okay, let's put these two together. These things like to get very close to it or touch these EMAs. I found out that the 5, I'm like, let me just start clicking in numbers and stuff like that. And so this will try to get to that, but it doesn't necessarily have to as quickly. The 5-minute like goes almost immediately back to it. And so I'm so tempted to really put in, and I think I should. Give me a second as I put in along on my phone. I'm so nervous to put in long just because it doesn't follow up. Let's look at the 15-minute. Is it still over? What about the hour? Is it still over? Oh, it touched the hourly. That's good right there. Actually, based on the hourly, I can more safely feel okay about going long. Mm, yeah, just because of that dump that happened, and now that this looks like a potential head and shoulders right here, right here. So this would be this, and then this would be the next spot right in the 7.8. So Cardano is really dealing with a lot of force and pressure right here. So very, very good. So I'm not going to get in that long yet. I'll be missing out on some profits and whatnot that I could have gotten had I looked at this. But I'm recording this. It is what it is. I could have shorted. So here's the thing with the 5 EMA, and that's how you can use both of them. Before I go on to using both of them together. Now these things, okay, buddy, let me drag. So these things, really, really, really are like attracted like a moth to a flame. Look at this. So you see that this has touched it. Now, if it's still going to go down, it goes down. Okay, forget that. The problem that I found here is that let's say that this was right up here, right? Let's just pretend that the 21 was this. This could do this. This is what can happen. This could dump so low that it will drag this to that point. That's what I witnessed. So yes, this looks like a perfect thing, and that's how some just like some hindsight traders would be like, yeah, this was an excellent indicator. That's why indicators are garbage, because they really just don't typically work. So this is this shape. Okay. Yeah, that's that shape. Alrighty. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with. Uh, it on the 5 minute, it went back to it. Let's see where the 15 minute is. The 15 minute is right here. So 350. So we're gonna see if it does go to that point. I think because it satisfied itself on the 1 hour. Now it's a new 1 hour. It satisfied the 4 hour. It's got its rocks off. Now it can go. This is actually close enough, but it might dump a little bit more. But now that it's gotten it out of the way, it actually has some room to actually pump. And on the 4 hour, it knocked it out. So let's see where this goes. It can go right back here and form an indecisive candle like this one, which kind of resulted in both ways. But this is how you put both of them together. Uh, this is over the 21. So as long as this remains over the 21, this is actually good to help keep in a position. You can see that this is actually floating this up, and then eventually it comes down to one, breaks through this, and then it wants to touch that 21 or get near it. And so at some point, you just got to make a decision on when to get out. And the entry is the harder thing. And I think that this helps you with entry, uh, and it can help with exits because if this dumps down, now this is the 4 hour. Obviously, on the 1 minute, if you trade it on the 1 minute, you can see to get out a lot faster than if you trade it on a higher time frame. So, but that, yeah, that's about it. So with that, I've gone over setting up this the Binance Futures part, scanning the market, and also trading with these two indicators. With that being said, hey, cool. Catch you all on the flip side.